Hi, Grandma Bev here from Life with Grandma Bev, and welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new, you can tell from my intro, I do videos on all kinds of subjects because after all, it is my life. And one of my favorite things to do videos on is traveling. But once the big C word hit, we didn't do much traveling. So I really had to branch into all those other subjects. But now I'm pretty much back at it because we did, what we do? We did three cruises in 2022. So we're really, went for it. But I'm going to share with you things that I feel like important to know when you're going to book a cruise. And this particular subject matter is 7 major cruise booking mistakes to avoid. Okay. Number 1, now I've got notes here, so I'll be referring to my notes, but you can see I've got pretty pictures back here. Let's see which way to go. And another thing about my videos, you'll find that they're not real professional looking. What you see is what you get. You get me, which is just me being my goofy self. So anyway, back onto this. I'm going to share with you my opinions on what are cruise booking mistakes to avoid. Number 1 is waiting too long to book a cruise. It can mean higher prices and less cabin choices. Now, when it comes to the prices, okay, now, an example, we have a cruise next September, and we booked it, oh gosh, it's one of the ones that got booked during the pandemic that we had to keep canceling, they had to keep canceling. And so, we just kept moving it. So we booked it a long time ago, long story short. Since then, like on Black Friday and all these different days, they got all these specials going on right now. So we always check them because, if you can find a lower cruise amount, you can contact your cruise company as long as you haven't paid your final deposit. And you can get the lower price. You got to look at it from all angles. What are the perks they're giving, all that stuff with it too, to see which is the best for your budget. So we've looked, and it costs a lot more to get it on sale right now than what we paid originally. So it's almost like we can't afford not to go on the cruise because we got it so reasonable. Yeah, some of the things that I've written down here, of course, they say there's wave season deals, which leads us to the best time of the year for booking a cheap cruise. Now you wonder why I'm doing these in January. Excuse me. It's because now's the time of year when you should start thinking about your vacations for like next year. Even this summer, if you prefer, if you can't book that far ahead, but it's when you're going to start seeing a lot of things on sale, a lot of companies pushing their cruise deals. You're going to see ads on TV, all that good stuff. But they say, like I'm doing right here, just after the new year and last into March is when, it says just start after the new year and last into March. This is my new admin assistant, by the way, just got her. Yeah, just got you, so she'll be making an appearance. Cats, you can't tell them, don't you come in this room while I'm recording. So, most deposits are refundable before the final payment, so it helps to take some of the worry out of the process. If you delay your booking, your mistake might mean higher prices in rooms that aren't your ideal, which leads us to picking the wrong cabin for your cruise can be a mistake that ruins your cruise. And it can be. Now, some people, they don't care if they're like in an inside cabin. For us, it doesn't work. I did one time, an interior cabin, and slept through half of the next day because you don't know if it's daylight out or what. I slept, missed a whole half day, and it was only like a 3-day cruise, 2-3-day weekend cruise. So I missed a lot. Once you go for a balcony cabin, though, you never want to go back. We've had the regular ones with the portholes. We've been on the real old ships. Like the first one we went on was our honeymoon over 32 years ago. And it was just a little tiny room back in a little corner. We didn't know any better. We never cruised. It was our first cruise. we wanted a cheap fare, and so it was this little tiny room, and the bathroom, you could hear the person going to the bathroom next door to you. I mean, really loud. And had that little porthole. So then we moved up, though, to regular rooms that have not just a little porthole, but some good sized rooms, almost the size as all the other cabins. I say cabins because I was a travel agent for selling cruises for quite a long time, when quite a while back, I should say. And where was I going? Here's the which sees what you get part. Oh, it was drummed to us during training. They are cabins. They're not rooms. So I've been trying to get myself to say staterooms, cabins, rooms, whatever happens to pop into this old brain, right? But it had a nice size window. But then from there, we took a balcony one time. It's like, oh my God, we loved it and haven't gone back. It's so nice to be able to go out and sit on your balcony, have a few drinks, or just sit there and stare at the sun, the sea, or if you're in port, watch the activities going on in the port. So be careful what you choose. You need to look at the what do you call it? The diagram of the ship, because you want to see. Do you have to sit on my paperwork? Sitting here now. You want to see what's above you, what's below you. If there's the boats outside, the little boats that tender you in, or if there was an emergency and they had to evacuate everybody by the boats, you don't want to look out in the boat all the time. You want to be a little above it, maybe. Now that would be called a obstructed view. All right. That's it. You don't want to have a cabin that maybe is above the pool deck, because you can tend to hear maybe, they're scraping chairs and tables around a lot. You can hear that. You can hear people, sometimes footfalls, the walking. If it's above or below like a nightclub, you might hear the noise. Now, if that doesn't bother you, it's no biggie. It doesn't really bother us. If you're up towards the front, you'll probably hear the anchor going up and down. That doesn't bother us, but but you can tend to get cabins cheaper sometimes in those areas. You can see why. So if you're real sensitive about noise, you don't want to be below the pool deck, below a nightclub, above a nightclub. So I think the safest bet is to just go on a floor that's got a deck that's got cabins above you, cabins below you. One thing we like to watch out for is when we go out on our deck, not that some ships are angled differently, and so the people above you, their balcony, they can look right down on you. Not that we're doing anything wrong. They just like to have a little bit of privacy to where, they're not seeing down you. No, I don't mind looking down, but so let's see. So also, like I say, make sure that what the obstructed view is. If you don't mind having the obstructed view, you don't mind looking out through a little bit of the boats or something, the little thingy things, then that's no biggie. Or a lot of people say, I spend so little time in my cabin. Well, that's cool. Then you can get away with the cheaper cabins. I spend a lot of time in the cabin because as you get older, you get tireder faster. If you're an insomniac, you might want to sleep a little later in the mornings. So we are careful. Another little tip is, if you can tolerate the cabins down on either ends. Now, they're not as, you may feel motion if there's any motion at all. I've never gotten seasick on a ship. And we've done 23, 24 cruises. The further forward or towards the back, you're not going to have people as much going by your cabin all the time, especially if, late in the middle of the night when they've been up there drinking and partying, or little kids running up and down the hall. So that's just a little tip too. All right. Not coordinating airfare, hotel, and parking can lead to missing your cruise. Boy, that's a biggie. We always fly at least the day before we need to get on the ship. Because the last thing you want to worry about, I keep looking at her, she's just sitting here looking at me, it is not arriving in time, you know, with, especially nowadays with the airfares. It seems like every time you're going anywhere, the planes are delayed, they're late, can't get your luggage, you know. Always go the day before. It's worth it to pay for a little hotel room. You know, just a cheap little hotel. And a lot of hotels, you know, in the area where you're flying from, where you live, they've got the park and fly, where you stay there one night and then you can park your car there while you're gone. Now, you may have to pay a little extra fee depending on how many days it is, but a lot of times it works out cheaper than if you're taking it to a expensive car parking lot, you know. Anyway, so coordinate the airfare. Now, we have found, and it just depends on the destination as to whether we're going to use book our airfare through the cruise line or if we're going to do it on our own. A lot of times through the cruise lines, they are cheaper. And if there's a problem, then they can deal with the problem, you know, as far as when you're flying to get there and stuff. So always base it on the destination that you're at for that particular time. Yeah. Oh, but talking to her, sorry. What to do if you miss your flight? Well, if you're using a travel agent, they'll handle the flights and any hotels you need pre or post cruise. We generally do our own. We've been traveling so much that we pretty much have it all down, you know. And we try not to stress over a lot of stuff, hard as it may be. So number 4, where's number 4? Skipping on travel insurance is a major cruise booking mistake. Yes, nowadays it really is. When we were younger, we never took out, you know, insurance because we were only doing like cruises from the United States, like, you know, the Caribbean and stuff like that. So it wasn't as expensive as far as airfare or the cruise itself. But now that we usually always do cruises in Europe, that's an expense. So when we go, you know, we're paying a lot more for airfare, spending a lot of time on the plane. Where was I going? see, I'm in my 70s, by the way, those of you who don't know. Or maybe you've guessed it by now. Oh, I'm going to skip that part that I was trying to remember. And if it comes back to me, I'll say it. Anyway. Yeah, the insurance. As you get older, you may have responsibilities that you didn't have when you were younger, like having to be responsible or the lead person in case something happens to your parents as they're getting old. Now, I had to do that for many years because my dad was in the nursing home. He lived 6.5 years longer than my mother, and they were already in the nursing home. And he had dementia, so it's all those years, and you never knew, you know. So I always had to be within reach. So, you know, if say something was to happen to him right before we were going to leave, and we had to cancel everything, it's always a good idea to have insurance. Or you never know if you're going to get sick. I've seen a lot of young people get sick on the cruise ships and wish that they had insurance. I mean, I know it seems like a big expense, but boy, it could sure come in handy in the long run, especially if you have to be evacuated off the ship in a helicopter. Thousands of dollars out of your pocket. All right, what's this one about? What did I write on here? This one just says, don't ignore the fine print if you want to avoid a cruise booking faux pas. Yeah, always read the fine print, especially nowadays where things have been changing so much with the pandemic that went around and all their rules and everything that they had down in their brochures got changed, and they're still changing. So make sure you read all the fine print to have yourself covered. Okay, forgetting to shop around can be a costly cruise booking mistake. Yeah, it can be. Now, if you have a travel agent that you just love, they'll keep a good eye out for you. Just call them up and say, hey, keep an eye out for, you know, we'd like to go to Europe such and such time of year, a good deal, blah, 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 you know. Give them your specifics, and they'll let you know if there's something that would probably work for you. Otherwise, Bob and I have always done our own, pretty much. I mean, we do use an agent once in a while. We have a very good one through Princess, and we have one that's like a general one, cruises only. And through the pandemic, she's really been a help. So we're always searching year-round for deals. So we just really do our homework when it comes to shopping around and comparing. Pay attention to what kind of people typically go on that ship. Now, there are some ships that we just choose not to sail on anymore. When we were younger, we did. But, as you grow older, your tastes change. You go through different phases. You just kind of branch into different ships. So do your homework on what you like to do on the ship, what they offer that way. Just pay close attention. Okay, let's see. I said there were 7, huh? Don't make the seemingly impossible cruise booking mistake, which is choosing the wrong year. It says, cruise lines plan itineraries a few years out. You can often book 2 years or more in advance. It doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, someone accidentally books a cruise for the wrong year. Can you imagine showing up a year early for your cruise? Another thing, though, that I'd like to mention is, say you book it for somewhere in Europe, and you don't realize that there's going to be a big event in the city that year, or around, some of the places you're going. And if you don't want to go to those events, like say it was the Olympics, we use that for an example, and you choose to go several days ahead to spend time in that city, like say it was Barcelona, yeah. And you get there and everything is so crowded. I mean, it's crowded enough, but this would be ultra crowded. You wouldn't want to go then. So try to do your travel arrangements, even if it's not just cruising, any travel arrangement. Make sure what's going on that time of year, if there's something special going on, because it can make a difference in whether you can book a hotel. Now, we have found, a lot of the hotels, they have different time frames that you can book. Some are like a year in advance, you cannot. Some are 9 months ahead. So we try to book as soon as the dates that we want to go are happening, during the 9 months or 12 months ahead. Because sometimes you might find you can't find a hotel room, especially if there is a big event going on. So those are just some things I thought of. And I spend a lot of time at night thinking about these things. So if you have any ideas that I haven't touched on, please comment below. Boop, 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 boop. Share with any of your friends who are thinking of cruising. Please like my videos. Those are important to me. And most of all, subscribe. I'll have more of these coming up. And I just did a video the other day that's on Kona, Hawaii. And you might want to go back and look at that. I've done videos through the past year from when we went to, different cruise vacations we took. So go back during this past year. It wouldn't be any time before that because that was during the big sea. So go back through 22, catch up on some of my videos. Some really neat places we went to. So I hope you're having a good new year, beginning a new year. I love you all. Bye.